Now, if you're an Airasia shareholder, you would have heard by now that Airasia is doing a rights issue. Now, but if you're not sure how the financial mumbo jumbo actually works, I'm going to explain to you in this video. Let's check it out. Now, so Airasia has just announced their rights issue. Now, this is no ordinary rights issue. Now, what is a rights issue? Now, in an ordinary rights issue, what happens is this. A company says, hey, you know what? We need to raise more money. Now, they go to their existing shareholders and say, look, you give us more money in exchange for new shares. Now, that's a pretty straightforward rights issue. Now, what Airasia is actually doing is actually known as a redeemable convertible unsecured Islamic debt security, right? Or known as a RCUIDS. Now, this essentially is what we know as quasi capital. So it is a little bit of debt at some point in time, and it's also equity as well, but not both at the same time. Now, if you're familiar with another term called a redeemable convertible unsecured loan stock, or an RCUID, they are essentially the same. Now, the difference between an RCUIDS and an RCULS is this, is that one is an Islamic product and one is not. So which means that an RCUIDS means that whatever money that's raised can only be held in Sharia compliant deposits, and it can only be used for Sharia compliant purposes. Now, so if you've actually read the document on the RCUIDS, the first thing that's going to pop out to you is an 8% profit per annum for a period of 7 years. Now, if you do a quick math, you're going to say 8% multiplied by 7. That's giving me 56% profit over 7 years. Now, you're going to be thinking that's a lot more than what I'm going to get in my current fixed deposit. However, if you dig a little bit deeper, there are terms and conditions. Now, what really actually happens is this: over that 7-year period, the company will actually start paying you back your principal on the 4th year. And they will actually pay 25% of your original principal in the 4th year, and then another 25% in the 5th year, 6th year, 7th year, until the full principal is paid off, which means the 8% is still applicable, but the actual calculation is actually 8% multiplied by 7 years multiplied by the balance of rights available, right? So which means that if you work it out, it's not 7 times 8, it's actually 7 times 8 multiplied by whatever balance of rights available. So if you hold it to the end, that actually works out to a 44% profit. Now, I did some rough calculations. It actually works out to around, in conventional terms, about 5.35% per annum, right? Now, this is just really rough calculation. It's not an exact calculation, but that's about where it actually stands. Now, if you've followed me so far, congratulations. But there is a teeny weeny small catch that I have to talk to you about. Now, what happens is this: if should Airasia have the money to do the full redemption, which means to pay out the whole debt, on the 4th year, what Airasia will do will actually pay you the full outstanding principal on the 4th year and a 5% premium on the nominal rate, which is 75 cents plus 5%, which means they don't actually have to pay you interest on the 5th, 6th, and 7th year. So that's something you need to know about. Now, there's one more feature or benefit that the rights actually have, and this is where it gets its name, convertible. Now, at any point in time during the 7 years, you could actually exchange one right for one Airasia share without having to top up any more money. That's it. Now, there are so many jargons or financial numbers kind of being thrown around. Let's just focus on the number of shares that you have. Now, I'm going to assume that you're going to start off with 6,000 Airasia shares today. Now, the reason why I do this is that I want to just make sure that you don't end up with those pesky odd lots, right? Which you can't really sell, and you're actually going to be, you have to trade it on board lot, and actually it costs a lot of money. So for this calculation, or you're going to make sure before the X date happens, is make sure that you have this nice round number to make sure that the rights that you end up with is actually doesn't end up with odd lots. Now, see, this is how it works. So if you have 6,000 Airasia shares today, you are going to be eligible for 2,000 rights. Okay. Now, with the 2,000 rights, what you actually also get is 1,000 free warrants as well. Now, what does this mean? So if I put it in a nutshell, if you had 6,000 shares today, how much money would you have to come up with? You have to come up with a total of 1,500 ringgit, because each right is actually priced at 75 cents, right? As we did earlier, if we explained earlier that this 1,005, you just multiply it by 44%, if assuming you hold it for the 7 years, that is going to be your return, which is 5.35%, which means you're going to end up with 1,005, you're going to end up with 2,160 ringgit at the end of 7 years. Now you're thinking to yourself, look, what if I don't want to take up the rights? Now that's also another possible avenue, which means that after the X date, because these rights are actually renounceable, which means that they are transferable. Now this is very important, so you got to listen up, right? You're going to get 5 trading days to actually sell off these rights. Now remember, these rights actually also have a price to it. There is a value to these rights, but you're given this short 5 trading days to make sure that you can actually sell those and actually pocket something. So let's assume that they're worth 10 cents, just for argument's sake. So which means that your 2,000 eligible rights would actually be worth 200 ringgit. So you're going to make sure that on the day that if you decide you're not going to take the rights, make sure you are there within that 5 days to sell off those rights so that you don't lose out on the 200 ringgit. Now, what happens if you don't sell it within the 5 days? Then they actually disappear and you can't sell them again. So this comes to the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I gave you an idea on how this complex world of financial instruments actually work. Stay safe and make sure don't forget to like, share, or subscribe. And please post any questions that you would like me to answer next.